if every church in Namibia was going to do that, we're going to reach a lot of people around the whole country. That's the first way.
Thank you.
The second one is that we would like every church in Namibia to become a media center. When you are producing programs, when you are running your own programs in your churches, please, you can even buy a small gadget, a recording gadget that you just plug into your equipment there, and it records everything that you do in your church, be it music, be it sermons, be it fellowship, marriage counseling, a lot of things. You bring them to us. We are going to play those programs, and a lot of people are hungry for the gospel. Okay, there are a lot of stories that we could tell you that are happening down there because of the people listening to the Adventist World
So
Radio.
by simply sharing our day-to-day services, we can reach out to people out there hungry for the word.
Exactly. You can reach out to the people out there because you are a local church. But if you link up to us, because we're going very far, you would also be adding value to what we do. So we definitely appreciate what you are doing here. And we hope we will be working together with Amazing Grace to ensure that we send the gospel to the furthest part of this country and the world at large.
Looking forward to it. Brother Regan, it's been lovely.
I just also want to tell you that, you can as well go to our website. You can listen to us on the website. You can listen to us on Amazing Grace. Go to Amazing Grace application. You can also go to what we call an application called Radio Garden, that you can be able to rotate the globe and listen to every radio around there. You'll find us there. And a lot of people, millions of people are listening to us around the globe. So we appreciate that. Thank you, God.
Thank you so much. It's been lovely relaxing with you here at the Red Couch. I will release you now to enjoy the rest of your dinner and the rest of the program. Rutendo.
Thank you.
You're not only a bookworm over there, I can see. How many recipes have you found now?
Too many.
Too many
I don't
recipes.
think people are ready.
People are not ready for your cooking?
No, not at all.
Okay, so do the recipes actually translate to cooking? Well, there's a bit of cooking talent needed there.
I was reading quite a lot, and I think I can maneuver in the kitchen.
Okay, but one area I'm confident you're talented in is singing. What are you singing for us this evening?
A very old song, a song that was sung by a lot of us when we were young, I believe. Yes. I hope you all enjoy it.
Thank you. Over to you.
God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Cause God has smiled on me. He has set me free. grace that taught my head to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. 'Cause God has smiled on me, He has set me free. God has smiled on me, He's been good to me. He's been good to me. He's been good to me.
That was beautiful, Rutendo. Why are you running away so quickly like that? A round of applause for Rutendo, ladies and gentlemen. Rutendo, if you could assist me, please. There's a very important person I'd like to talk to here at the Red Couch, and I'm not sure how I can get him here.
Okay.
He happens to be the head elder of Amazing Grace Church.
Wow, is it?
Yes, I don't think I'm worthy enough to get him to stand, but because you've been singing so sweetly.
Wow, Sonia. All right, Elder, I have been asked to summon you to the Red Couch.
Humbly, someone.
Yes, please. Humbly summon you to the Red Couch.
Whilst we're enjoying the lovely dinner prepared for us, let's remember to share the link. There's a food hamper at the end of this program and 2 other runner-up prizes. Good evening, Elder Mpofu. A mic for you.
Good evening.
How are you this evening?
I'm well, thank you.
We're happy to have you here, and thank you for joining me in this lonely section. Red goes well with your lovely bow tie. Did you pick that out
Thank
for
you.
yourself?
Well, there's somebody who does that.
Oh, yes, the lovely lady with the pink fascinator. Thank you for joining me. I know that you are one gentleman who has a passion for digital evangelism. That's one thing that you've been talking about a lot since last year. Could you take us through digital evangelism? What is it? And what vision do you see for it with regards to Amazing Grace Church?
Thank you. The core mission for Amazing Grace SDA Church is to reach out in love, and one of the pillars of that strategic framework is to engage beyond the church. We are a small church which is limited in terms of resources, manpower, financial. So when we sat down to see how we can move further with the work of God, we chose a few areas that we considered were high impact, and digital evangelism was one of those, because with the little resources that we have, we can actually impact so many lives.
You talked about reaching beyond church. Maybe could you explain that a bit further to us when you say reaching beyond church?
Yes, a lot of our traditional churches are 1 day a week affairs. We come on Sabbath, we have our services, we close our doors, and then we go on with our lives. So we're looking at the talents that God has graced us as amazing grace. That wouldn't be good stewardship. We need to do more work outside the church than we actually do in church. Church on Sabbath is just a retreat and a time to refuel. Otherwise, the bulk of the work we have to do outside the church. With digital evangelism, it means even when we are sleeping, the work of God continues to be spread.
I like that. So when we are sleeping, the work of God continues to operate because we need to rest. Although the angels don't need to rest, but we need to rest. And there's a young lady by the name of Tina who has been reached as well through digital evangelism.
Yes, maybe not so young.
Okay.
Yes, but Tina is maybe an excellent example of what digital evangelism can do. Tina was in a bad space in her life, but she was not probably visible to many people. She was alone. She was looking for solutions. She was looking for answers to her life. She turned to the internet like most of us do. She had a question. She put the question on the internet and the answers came. And we thank God that He found the right solutions through digital evangelism.
That's amazing. And because we're talking about digital evangelism, shall we play the video for our guests so that everyone can get to see Tina's story? Over to the technical department.
I didn't really care if I lived or not. I drank every night to the point where I didn't really care if I lived or not. It was just, when's my next drink? I'll go to work and be sober, but then when's my next drink? It just got to the point where I just want to get a divorce or I just want to die. I just don't want to be here anymore. Most of my life, I didn't realize it, but I think God really had a plan for me all along. Before I was born, my mom was 15 when she got pregnant, and she had me and had to go into a home for moms. And she almost gave me up, but my grandma decided, I want to keep her and I'll help you raise her. And so she raised me. Throughout my teenage years, life was a little rough. My dad was an alcoholic, and then I eventually got saved and baptized in the Baptist church. But then I met my husband-to-be, and we got married, and he was from a family that liked to party a lot. And so I just got sucked into that, and that's what we did. We would party all the time. I became a pretty bad alcoholic, and my kids suffered as a result of it. But then I just got tired of it. I was on the verge of divorce so many times, but then something, probably my mom's prayers, just kept me going. And I started doing some searching online, reading the Bible, and Googling some different questions I had about the Bible. And I found that there was people that worship on Saturday, and I never heard of that before. I checked it out, and there were 2 churches in the area that worshipped on the Sabbath. They were called Seventh-day Adventists. So I went to the one church, and it was actually in Edenville, Michigan. And so then I started doing more research. I did find a lot of negative things about Seventh-day Adventists on there, saying they worship Ellen White and they're a cult and just some weird stuff. And I thought, I just don't know if I believe all that. So I did some more researching, and the people that I met, they just didn't seem like that. They didn't do those things that I saw on the internet. Then I decided I want to get baptized. I believe this is where God's leading me. This is what I want to do. I wouldn't be here if I wouldn't have looked up and listened to the podcasts and did my research and not believed some of the stuff was out there. I found out for myself whether it was true or not. I highly encourage, no matter how old you are, to get involved. My mom, she's almost 70, and she gets on Facebook and she posts verses and encouraging words, and people see that. It helps. It really does help. I encourage you as a church member or even a leader to get your church online, get them the materials they need. You don't have to know how to get online and how to do these things. Center for Online has a ton of stuff that you can look at, and you can get members of your church that know how to do these things already. Get the young people involved. Get the older people involved. They may not want to get online and do things, but they'll help support either financially or they'll pray for your ministry. And if the churches don't get involved digitally, we are missing millions of people and people that are going to be lost. My children, your grandchildren, they're all online. If you don't get involved online, you're missing all these people.
Wow, Elder Mpofu, by getting online, someone searching for Jesus was able to stumble on one of our websites and her life was changed. Truly, there is power in being online.
Certainly.
And what efforts are we making as Amazing Grace Church to be more present online?
One of the first things that have been happening is that we try to live stream our services. We still do have problems here and there, technical in nature, but wherever possible, our sermons, our programs are streamed live to YouTube, to Facebook, and such platforms. So we are already reaching a number of people.
Technical glitches are to be expected, but the work is going forward. And as you mentioned before, Amazing Grace, a small church. Do you believe that as a small church like Amazing Grace, we have a special calling to reach out to millions of people out there through digital evangelism?
Yes, I believe very much that. One astounding statistics that struck me so much is that half of this world is yet to be reached. And who is supposed to do that? It's not somebody out in America or in one of the rich countries. Each one of us has got a responsibility to do that. And certainly Amazing Grace has got the capacity to do exactly that.
It's very good that you say that. Just the other day, somebody said that the work or the word of the Lord came to us many years ago, all the way from America. But now there seems to be a need for us to move from Africa to America to bring the word back to them. And a fantastic way to do that, if we can't fly there, we can certainly reach them every Sabbath service and every other day through live streaming and other digital media. Elder Mpofu, it has been fantastic speaking to you. Thank you so much for taking some time out to chat with me here at the Red Couch.
Thank you very much.
Rutendo, there's been a lot of noise going on at Amazing Grace Church. They've been talking about this caught up. And someone earlier this evening was saying, perhaps we'll be caught up. And I believe that was the lovely Sister Nadine who was talking about being caught up during the launch. So, Rutendo, you have the privilege to speak to one of the guests who appeared on Caught Up, and we can find out more about this noise caught up.
Thank you so much, Sonia. I have the privilege to interview one of your guests from Caught Up. So, Elder, may you kindly introduce yourself to the viewers and everyone that's here.
My name is William Mwemba, and I'm a Seventh-day Adventist.
Amen to that. Is that all, Elder, that you're going to tell us about yourself?
Just to warn you, he was like that on the show.
Well, I love studying the Bible and the spirit of prophecy, and I have a passion for sharing literature, especially evangelism, and also using social media to share Bible texts and spirit of prophecy quotes that I read and find interesting. I share almost on a daily basis.
That's very lovely and powerful, and I hope our listeners are encouraged to share as well all that they read, any encouraging verses, songs, and so on. That is a part of evangelism, if I'm correct. Okay, Elder, quickly, can we just, I'm sure a lot of people would like to know, what was your experience like when you were called to go and sit on this panel and discuss evangelism and discuss all whatever it is that you were discussing? Rather, let's start here. What were you talking about on Caught Up?
I think we were looking at evangelism and how far can we go in reaching out the masses via media, since it was a recording. And it was quite interesting because as I think, as you know, that statistically people read less and watch more.
That's true.
If I had a 5 minutes text to read and a 5 minutes video clip to watch, I prefer video because I can get the content quite fast, not necessarily having to bother with the quality of my ears. I could even be looking somewhere else and be listening. It's that powerful. I know that even on my social media platform, when I post a video, there are more people who watch the video than some of the content that I put there. And so, judging by that, I prefer video is much more interactive in terms many people actually watch it. And we thought that program was tailor-made to actually get people to be interested in reading literature, especially our literature, even via videos that we were recording on some interesting topics.
That's lovely, and I do agree with you that I would rather watch something than actually read it. I don't think that is the best way to look at stuff, but I mean, if you are given that option, why not? So could you just explain what came to your mind when you were called to come and sit on this show on Caught Up? How was that? What experience did you come across?
At first, I didn't know what to expect, since I was given an idea of what we're going to talk about, but there were some questions that I was supposed to respond to, which were not shared prior to that. So I was just on the scene being asked questions, and I had to respond on the spot. It is quite interesting in the sense that I know that whatever we share, that is biblically inclined, and that was more looking at not being caught up in the ideas of this world, but being caught up with the idea to heaven and sharing that passion shaped, and it's shared in small videos that can easily be sent on WhatsApp. I think it's quite powerful. I think if we could tap on that, I think we'll do much more in terms of evangelism than what we are doing currently.
Definitely, we'll definitely cover more ground. I mean, 2 million views. That is quite a lot, quite a lot. Elder, I'm so used to seeing you standing in front, preaching. I've also seen you being a leader in Sabbath school lessons and things like that. How was it different this time, talking about what you believe in, talking about your faith on the show, and as compared to you speaking to the usual crowd, to the people that you always preach to?
I think it was a potential audience that would ensue from that recording. Ordinarily, when we'll be talking, an audience, Central Church sits about 700-800 every Sabbath.
That's quite a lot.
And as that sounds like a lot compared to other sister churches, but if I post something on YouTube or on Facebook, I'm on part of some of the platforms where there are 300,000 people, and most of those are not Adventists. They see Adventists, they ask a lot of questions. When you post some reading, they are lazy, but if you could post a video there, a lot of them would rather watch the video. And by the time they are done with the video, they would have gotten the message already. And I think for me, that was more exciting because I know I can reach a greater audience through that media via, as opposed to standing in front of a small congregation. Potentially, if they record you also, maybe, and use their platforms, perhaps there's that, but we are not guaranteed of that. But this, I was sure that is being recorded professionally and could be shared, and more people would get to hear about the gospel of Jesus Christ than otherwise they would not have.
That is very powerful. You've actually answered the question that I was about to ask you, but I will just ask it anyway, and hopefully you can add on to that. You know, there are a lot of people who are quite anti-social media. And some believe that if you are talking to people on social media, you're very distant. People would like to see you and be in your vicinity as you are speaking and evangelizing. So what advice or what could you say in this regard to say, is it a good thing, even if it's happening through screens or via cell phones or whatever platform that you use?
You know, many of our statuses, even on WhatsApp and Facebook, Instagram, have to do with ourselves.
Yes.
Like the young man mentioned earlier on, it's projecting ourselves. You're enjoying this and you take a picture of yourself. Like this event, I can assure you that some of the people who love social media already took some selfies and already put it on their status.
Yes.
It's here, it's lit at Amazing Grace. But if you took something else and shared it, people who like checking, it's amazing sometimes even your status, how many people check. It's actually powerful. I'm mostly on social media primarily to share the gospel, more than to project myself and share pictures. Once in a while I'll put a video here and there, but very little of myself, more to do with what I share. Even my statuses have to do with, my devotionals I read. I post a lot of those, and it's amazing that when you check how many people checked at the end of the day, you would have reached maybe 100 people who checked your status, 70, and it's actually very revolutionary. I never thought of, if I give a book to somebody, it's one person. Of course, that book will stay longer. But if I post something that within maybe 5 minutes, 300 people see it. And if the Holy Spirit, I believe, when I share, gets to speak to these individuals, I'm already witnessing to more people than I would have done had I just spoken to one person face to face. As powerful as that is, social media also has its own audience who would not be able to see her face to face.
That is very, very true. I think we are learning quite a lot about social media and the digital life. We can do a lot of evangelism through that quite clearly. So